The Chitrik Academy is dedicated in loving memory of Rabbi Tzvi Hirsh Chitrik.
Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to learn the first Gemara after the Mishna on Chafei Amar Aleph, from the word Taima, where it says Gimel Mem, Gemara, until down here, by the two dots over here, where it says Tzibure, right over here. It's a long Gemara, but it's a simple Gemara, so we're going to go through it. In our Mishnah, we had mentioned that if someone finds fruits in a bowl or money in a purse, in a wallet, then the finder, must try to return the money and the wallet to the owner. Because usually the bag, the purse, the wallet, or the bowl has a siman, has a sign that the owner can identify that it belongs to him and can prove that it belongs to him. Therefore, it needs to be returned, even the money that's in it, and the fruit that's in it needs to be returned to its rightful owner, and the finder may not keep it. This is what we're going to discuss in today's lesson. Let us begin. The Gemara says, Taima, the reason why he must return the fruits is because the matzah peiros bekli. It's because he found the fruits in a bowl, which we said the bowl is identifiable. Umois bekis, and he found the money in the purse, in the wallet. Therefore, he needs to return it. However, hakli, what if he just found a bowl with the fun of peiros, and there were fruits in front of it, not inside, but in front of it, or kisul, the fun of mais, or he found a wallet with money in front of it, then Perek Eilu Metzios, then he will be able to keep it. So what the Gemara is saying is that when do we say that the person must return the fruit and the money? That's if it's in the bowl, if it's in the bag. However, if they found a bowl or a money bag or a purse, and the fruits or the money wasn't inside of it, then the finder does not need to return it, and he may keep it for himself. Meaning, the purse and the bowl he needs to return to the owner, but the actual money and the fruits he may keep, because only when it's inside the bowl or inside the purse he needs to return it. However, not if it's outside of them. Now let's continue this in the Gemara. Tanina, it was learned, Tanina laha d'tana banan. We have learned in our Mishna this, what it says in a Brisa, meaning that it says a similar thing in a Brisa, that matzah kli, if a person finds a vessel, a bowl, lefan of peiros, and in front of it was fruits, kis, or a different case, someone found a wallet, lefan of mais, and in front of it was money, Perek Eilu Metzios, the halach in both these dinim will be that the finder may keep the fruit and the money. However, if miktsasa and bekli, what we're learning now in this brisa is saying exactly the way we just translated our Mishnah. That if a person finds miktsasan, miktsas means a few. He finds a few of them inside the kli. Miktsasan agabe karka. What if half of it was in the vessel, and half of it was on the ground in front of this kli, in this bowl? And the same thing by the wallet. If miktsasan bekis, miktsasan agabe karka, that if he found part of the money in the wallet and part of it was on the ground, then chayav lahachriz, then he would need to return the money and the fruits that is found on the ground, because you can see that it obviously comes from the bowl. So until now we had just learned a brisa that says the exact same thing as our Mishnah, that if it's inside the bowl or partially inside the bowl, then he needs to return the fruits, or if it's inside the wallet or partially inside the wallet, he needs to return the money. But if it's totally outside, then he may keep the fruits and the money. Now the Gemara is going to ask a question. The question begins here where it says Uraminu. From right over here, that's where the question begins. Let's make a question mark over here. We're going to show that there's a question begins over here. Uraminu. And they pointed out a question, a contradiction. It says somewhere else, it says in another brisa, that if matzah davar she'em by siman, if a person found something which does not have a sign, a siman, b'tzad davar sheyesh by siman, besides something that does have a siman, chayav lahachriz, he will need to return both of them. So this brisa clearly states that even if you find For example, if you find a fruit in front of a bowl, even though just only the bowl has a siman, but the fruits do not have a siman, the Brisa says that you will need to return it. And this is the opposite of our Mishnah. Let's continue this Brisa. Ba bal siman, if the person comes and gives a sign and proves that the bowl belongs to him, and he only takes the bowl, and he says that the fruit does not belong to him, then zacha hala b'davar shem by siman. Only then can the finder keep the fruits or the item which does not have a siman. So the Gemara's question is, we see clearly a brisa that says that if you find something that does not have a siman, besides something that does have a siman, you will need to return it. You will need to return the fruits and the money, even though it is not inside. However, our Mishnah says that you may keep it. So this is a question that we have, a contradiction between our Mishnah that says you may keep it, you may keep something which is not in the bowl or in the wallet, and the Brisa says that it must be returned. So this is the Gemara's question. The Gemara is going to give 4 different answers, and we are going to learn now the 4 answers. Okay. We're going to answer number 1. We're going to start with Rabbi Tzvi. Answer number 1. So we'll start with the A. Answer number 1 is over here. Amar Rabbi Tzvi. Rabbi Tzvi gives an answer. He says, Loi kasha. This is not a question, it's not a contradiction. Because our Brisa and our Mishnah are speaking about 2 separate things. In our case, where it says that the finder may keep the items that are outside of the barrel or the purse, is bekuva bekisna. It's speaking about flax and a barrel. And and the brisa that says that you must return the items that are in front of the barrel, something that doesn't have siman, is speaking about betzana upere. It's speaking about a basket of fruit. What's the difference between them? Let's see what the answer is. Answer number 1. Answer number 1 is that when do we say that what's outside of the basket he may keep? That's in a case of flax that came out of a barrel. In case the flax came out of a barrel and the barrel is empty, then we would say, because the barrel is empty, that's why the finder may keep it. Because if the flax seeds actually came from the barrel, then some of it would have remained in the barrel. So the fact that it's all outside, so we say the finder may keep it and does not need to return it. So let's make an X. He does not need to return in this case. However, when someone finds fruit in front of a basket, in such a case, it's possible that all the fruit came from the basket. Fruit usually can roll, so the fruit rolled out of the basket. In such a case, we say he must return this item. He must return it. So it's not a contradiction between the 2 brises, because it depends what it's speaking about was inside the basket. So let's see. So the answer number 1, in the case where he can keep it, it's a case of a barrel and flax. So let's write this down. It's a case of, the case of flax. In case of flax, some of it would have remained in the barrel if it actually came from the barrel. And then you must return in a case of fruits. So this is answer number 1. Now we're going to move on to the next answer. Now we're holding an answer again. This is going to be answer number 2. First one was Reb Zvid, and now we're moving on to Rav Papa. Rav Papa Amar, Rav Papa says a different answer. He says, Ha v'ha, both of our cases, both the brises and what we're discussing, is Bitsana upere. They're both speaking about fruits in a basket. But like kasha, and it's not a contradiction. Why is it not a contradiction between these 2 brises? Because ha di ishtayer bamidi, One is referring in a case where some was left over. Some fruits was still left, was remained in the basket, and you can see that actually came from the basket. In such a case, it would be forbidden to keep. It must be returned. And ha deloy yishtar bamidi. However, in the case that a person, we say a person may keep it, is when nothing was left in the basket, and therefore we say it probably did not come from there. So let's see answer number 2. So we saw answer number 1. Answer number 2 is they're both baskets. One is that there's some fruits left on the side. In such a case, we say the person must return it. In this case, the person must return it. And if there's nothing left in the basket, we say it probably the fruits did not come from this basket, and the finder does not need to return it. So let's go back to our chart. Let's get back to our chart over here. The case where you may keep it is where if the basket is empty. This is the second answer. If the basket is empty, then the finder may keep the fruits. And if the basket is full, that is when the finder needs to, basket is full or has some left over, it's not empty, then the finder must return this basket, this fruit. Now we're going to move on to answer number 3. So it's from V'iba Yisema. V'iba Yisema, perhaps you can say, Ha v'ha de la yishtar bamidi, where both cases are baskets of fruits that de la yishtar, that there was nothing left over inside the baskets. So what are they arguing in? V'loi kashan is not a contradiction. Ha de mahadre ape ugabe pere. One is if the mouth, the ape, the face, the opening of the basket is facing the fruits that are on the ground. In such a case, it shows that the fruits came from the basket. And ha de loi mahadre ape ugabe pere. However, in the other case where we say that the finder may keep it, if the opening of the basket is not facing the fruits that are on the ground. Let's see this on our board. Let's find this case. This case over here is if the answer number 3 is that if the fruits, the opening of the basket is facing the fruits that are on the floor, in such a case, the owner, the finder, will need to return it because it's obvious that the fruits came from the basket and it belongs to the owner of the basket. But in a case where the opening of the basket is not facing the fruits, in such a case we would say that the finder does not need to return it and he may keep it. Okay, let's move on to our 4th and final answer. Perhaps we can answer that ha v'ha, both cases, both brises, both cases is the mahadre apel gabi pere, that the basket is facing the opening of the fruits, but like kashan, it still won't be a contradiction. Why? Because ha, the isla ugnin litzana, one case, the case that says that you will be allowed to keep it as if there is ugnin, there's a rim to the basket, and ha, the weisba ugnin litzana, and the brisa that says that you may not keep it as if there are no rims to the basket. What does this mean? It means that you can have two types of baskets. A basket that has a rim, and a basket that has a rim, that's this one over here, and a basket that does not have a rim. So, in a case where the basket does not have a rim, the basket that does not have a rim, we will always say that the finder must return it to the owner, because just because the barrels, the fruits are outside, it could be that it actually came from this basket over here. However, in a case where the basket has a rim which could hold fruit inside, and we find that the basket's empty, the finder does not need to return it. Because if the fruit actually came from this basket, the rim would have held some of the fruit back inside, and we would just be able to see that the fruit actually came from the basket. But because it is empty, it has a rim, and there is no fruit inside, that shows that the fruit that we have, that is found on the floor does not belong to, it's not from the basket, and it does not belong to the owner of the basket. So let's just write this down. We have answer 3 and 4. So answer 3 we said was if he gets to keep it if the basket is not facing the fruits. So let's write this down. If the basket is not facing the fruits, then he may keep it. If the basket is facing the fruits, in such a case, we would say that the finder must return the fruits to this owner. And answer number 4 was if it has a rim or not. If it has a rim and there are no fruits inside the basket, then we can say that it belongs to, that the fruit is someone else's and it's not the owner of the basket, and the fruit has no siman, and therefore the finder might keep it. But if it has no rim, we will never know, we cannot know where the fruit came from. And this is the end of this Gemara. We're holding the 2 dots over here.